Hello and welcome to Take 5 for Houston Real Estate. Buying, selling, renting, and financing tips from the pros. Hey Carlotta,
Hey, Owen.
how are you?
I'm great. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, good to hear from you and welcome to the number one episode of the podcast called Take 5 for Houston Real Estate. Buying, selling, renting, and financing tips from the pros. And I have a pro on the phone with me right now, Carlotta Morris with Beth Ferester in the Woodlands. Carlotta, give us the rundown on your experience in the real estate industry. I know I've known you since longer than probably either of us would like to admit, but
That's true. Okay, well, yes, I have known you a while, haven't I?
yeah.
Okay, I got my real estate license in 1981 in Austin, Texas, and began my career selling raw land for ranches.
Wow.
Over the years, and I think I've put in 38 so far. 16 of those have been in new home construction.
Mm.
So I've kind of dabbled in all the different areas of real estate, and it's been my life profession. This is what I've always done.
Hmm. So, and how has it changed?
Oh my gosh. Well, in the beginning, nothing started before you put people in the car. I mean, I call it, the change from gasoline to technology.
Hmm.
um, Sales are made by people looking at homes online, sending those homes to a realtor online. We perhaps will see, a handful, make some decisions, and the rest of it is done online as well.
Yeah.
So it's a time of technology, but it's also a time to get correct information out of that technology.
Right.
I see
So
a
let's.
lot of the wrong information being translated when I look at
Hmm.
social media and this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
Um,
I have a question. So, of the buyers you work with, how many of those buyers like send you the list of homes? I mean, when I first bought my house, there was like a printout on one of those dot printers, and the
yeah.
realtor handed me a list and said, "Here's the houses that are for sale." And then I went and drove by them. That
Yes.
was in the 80s. And so is it the other way around now?
Yes. Basically, well, you've got two types of buyers. One that does what you just said. The only thing that's different is that nobody goes anywhere and does anything and hands it to somebody. I
Right.
get something in the computer, and it's, somebody introducing themselves and saying, I've attached these homes that I'm interested in seeing. And then we
Hmm.
go from there to appointments. The other side of that is me being put in contact with someone through a referral or something like that, and
Yeah.
I get a lot of information from them over the phone, and then I go in and set up a search for those homes in those locations that have those specific criteria,
Yeah.
and then we go and see them and make some decisions.
Hmm. Interesting.
It still takes eyeing the product, but a lot of the run of the mill back and forth sharing of information on both sides is all done via the computer,
Hmm.
for sure. It's a new day.
So to somebody that's thinking about buying a house either this week or in the next year or two, what's the best way to do it? What would be your tip on how to make their buying experience smooth?
Well, it's not very colorful, but it's the right thing to do. I'm speaking of buyers now.
Uh-huh.
Nothing is more important than getting pre-qualified. And I know this sounds a little bit like, oh yeah, here's a lender on one hand, here's a realtor on the other. Of course, she's saying this.
Right.
No, that's not it. You need to find out what you can afford. You need to find out what your financial situation is to make sure all your guns are in a row,
Hmm.
because you may have an issue and not even know it.
Right.
A lot of people think, well, I'm paying this much money now for my house. I'm sure that one over there is about, I think I could get that one for this much money, and that'll be about, that's just not a good way to do it. You
Hmm.
want to get pre-qualified You want to know what you can afford, and you want to be able to turn that pre-qualification over with your offer to be taken seriously.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, so that's very important for the buyer. Now, for sellers, I have a good one for this because I always tell on my listing appointments, it's the first thing I say when we start talking about the home and decluttering and getting ready for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, I want you to start thinking of this no longer as your home, but as a product. And we're going to put it on the shelf alongside the other homes that are for sale in your same price range and location. So I asked them to do some homework on their own. Look up some of these homes that are,
Right.
420,000. Look at how they present. We are going to be their competition.
Right.
So
That's
we need to
excellent
look,
advice.
we need to look as good or better.
Yep.
Okay. So that's my tip there.
Good. I like it. I think, yeah, you have to divorce your emotion out of the
Mm-hmm.
process of loving your house and where you grew up and where you raised the kids. You're right. It's just a product, and
That it's exactly
yep.
right. Oh, and what would you say as a lender? I think it's equally important for you to say when somebody's going to call me. And I think perhaps I run into this. People are a little bit private about their
Mm-hmm.
finances. So how do you make people comfortable
Well,
about
I don't know if I
sharing
do or
their
not.
information? Oh, yes,
I
you
sure
do.
try. Well, yeah, I think to some degree you say, we're going to ask for this, that, and the other thing, and there are no secrets, and no longer does anybody get to say in our business that doesn't make sense.
Right.
If you're about to say that doesn't make sense, you're right, but that we can't, it is what it is, and the boxes have to be checked on documentation, and it's trying to go through that process in a smooth and easily understood way is important. And I think that it used to be another thing. It used to be was we had to get things right by closing. So everything was coming
So
together at closing. We were getting that final pay stub, and we were, finally
it's
verifying
so
the
true.
documents. Yeah. And now we have to get it right up front. We have to get all the documents up front to disclose correctly, to get things on the road. And and frankly, the occasional, you know, hair on fire closing that we'd have in 1995 or 2000, we don't have those anymore. Things go
No.
pretty smooth because we have all this emphasis on getting things right up front the first time. So
Which
those
is
are,
so good. That's
hmm
so good. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. We don't have closings like we used to.
hmm
They're very they're smooth.
hmm
They tend to be smooth now because documents have to be given out ahead of time. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, we've ate up our 5 minutes of Take Five for Houston Real Estate, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being a part of this initial podcast. And let us know how people can get a hold of you. What's the best way to reach Carlotta?
just call me
Okay.
936
Okay.
537 3853, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Carlotta. We'll catch up with you soon.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.